So my personal entrepreneurial journey started years ago in my mother's garage, where my mother had allowed me the opportunity to sublet a single garage that I was sharing with pots and pans, dust and the sort. Through rigorous negotiations, she allowed me to utilize this space with no rental fee on the one singular premise to say, I give you 2 years to make this space work. But to sort of take a couple of steps back and double back and to how we sort of got there. I mean, I was raised by this amazing single woman, and I don't even want to refer to her as a single woman. I was raised by this amazing woman who did extraordinary, superhuman things, right? So when I was younger, growing up, I looked at my life and thought to myself, there's something definitely wrong with my life when I compared it with everyone else's life. So she would do interesting things. We couldn't afford to buy bread, so she would cook bread, and I went to a primary school that was nearby called Olifantsfontein, commuting from Etembisa. Some days I'd walk, some days I'd use transport, depending on whether or not we had money. But because we couldn't afford bread and other sun-dry products, she would cook up ipapa, and let it cool overnight, and then she'd cut the bread up and slice it into square pieces if it was slices of bread. So I'd have bread and a tomato, I'd have bread and gravy. And I know that every time I had that lunch, I would always go behind the media center to consume that lunch because obviously you don't want other kids with ham and cheese to see you. On one particular day, a group of these kids I went to this very same class with got a hold of this ham and cheese. They opened it up and they were excited. Their mothers don't cook them pap and gravy. Their mothers make them ham and cheese. From then we traded. So which then leads me to my first point. When I looked at my life then growing up and I didn't understand it, all of the things that you look at that were travesties, that were injustices, when you take on a gender lens, we can't take on a gender lens without understanding what are all the things that are holding women back. But when you go deeper, you'd understand that those things that are holding you back, that you bring up as a burning point at every singular platform, you'd find that when you really dig deep and unearth them, there are opportunities there. In the work that we do, I've ran a couple of companies. I started doing business when I was 15 formally. I've been in business for about 19 years. I celebrate 19 years of business this year. And I've done almost every other thing. About 3 years ago, we sold my primary business, which was a manufacturing business. But before we did that, we had established some work about 10 years ago. And that work was to say, whatsoever platforms we go into in suburban areas or in Sandtons and the sort, we will build those spaces in the township. But we won't just build those spaces in the township, but we understand a couple of things. You can't solve problems on the same level that they are created on. So in order for you to be able to change and solve solutions, we need to do with the mindset. But the mindset conversation or the solutioneering is not a conversation that you have. You change the spaces and how they look so that the information, the data is consumed in a palatable manner. So I then started to take money from my primary business and we started to create spaces for these amazing township entrepreneurs to access each other, but most importantly to access opportunities for them to then develop and to then grow. Fast forward 10 years later, we've been able to directly impact over 80,000 township entrepreneurs with our own resources. We've been able to create spaces for these micro enterprises. I need to be very specific. Micro enterprises that are operating in the township, and we've seen the dial shift from 76% of the attendants being male attendees to now 58% of them being female. But not just that, but all the grant funding and the redirection of the financial resources that we have gone towards the women. And that's over and above the 68%. So for me, it then talks to a couple of things. And the first point is this. Own the story. Your background and the adversities that were thrown at you are not a disadvantage. They're a disadvantage that you choose for them to be. Shift how you perceive things so that you can make room for opportunities, and that's what we call building capacity. The second thing really for me is being intentional. Being intentional in how we see things. So I remember when I got onto a platform and I was unpacking the fact that there's a small entrepreneur we worked with from Alexander, and we're doing an enterprise development program, and this entrepreneur from Alexander, a business owner, he operates from a 4 meter by 3 meter zinc container umkuku. He makes 580,000 rand a month and 38% net profit. So it's unfathomable to individuals who have sealed off their life's experiences to say there's nothing good that will ever come out of township. The only great opportunities that I will ever access are opportunities when I'm in a corner office with a view in Sandton. Well, I'm here to give you a rude awakening. What you ran away from and what you are running to, those people are running back to what you ran away from. Because the very same township communities that we discarded, what we thought were of value, today every other article, whether it's on the Financial Mail or Business Insider or CNBC, is talking about our go-to market for township. Every other meeting I sit in with a large corporate, a fintech, a business, a financial institution, the biggest questions to us is, can you guys through your data help us go into the township, whereas the people who come from the township are trying to run away to better pastures, but you're leaving your grounds. Change how you see, and part of changing how you see is that it's not internet cafes that are printing copies in street corners and you see them as micro enterprises. When you change how you see, they become distribution and pickup points from whatsoever parcels, and it becomes easier adoption without you being able to build up cumbersome infrastructural development funding for you to be able to set that up. So change how you perceive and change how you see the market and how it operates. The moment you do that, you'll be able to access the amazing opportunities that lay within this particular space. Depending on how you change the things that you see, I'm a father of two. I live with my sons full time, and what that means is that they don't live with their mother. So because I was raised by a single mother, this amazing superpower, what I took away from that experience is changing how you see. So my treatment towards any other woman is singular. My treatment to any other woman is primarily predicated by the she effect. The she effect to me is, how would I treat her? So when I then start to consider and consolidate things in that particular matter, it means that my treatment is above the normal. Purely because I understand that I'm not doing things in the immediate, but I'm doing things for where I'm going, so that I model things out to not just me and my community, but also to my sons. So that when I'm in social spaces, and when we go to the various townships and communities that you can think of, any township or rural community you think of, we've been there. Every third week of the month in South Africa, we are in a township somewhere in the country, whether township or rural. Our presence is all South African major townships and 2/3 of the country's townships. So you then ask a number of questions, and we've gotten these questions over the years. Why doesn't this department do this for you? Why doesn't this one do this one? What doesn't this one do us? Our singular thing has always been its intention. You have to want to do it. You need to operate with the odd modus operandi that says that even if there are developmental institutions or the people who are in this room sitting in front or the back or the third row, whose primary responsibility is to create opportunities for you to grow, to develop, to access funding, to see other countries operate on a zero base. Because sometimes when we understand that there are people whose primary job is for them to solve our problems, what that then does is that over time we develop a sense of entitlement. We feel like we are entitled to their time. So these amazing presenters who have come here and they shared their stories, the moment you get out of here, you follow them on LinkedIn and you're sending them messages, you think you deserve a response from them. So operating in that mindset is similar to operating as someone who jumps in front of a moving train. You're always going to get hit. The best way to ask for help is simply this: how can I help you? So when this lady was standing before here, and I love that particular presentation, and she's talking about, let's talk about solutions. One of the main things that you need to leave with when you leave this room is, how can I help the Mbeki Foundation? How can I help my country progress? Then singled out, then you then need to start taking progressive steps to showing up. And those progressive steps for me in my third and final point, and I'm off the stage, is simply this. The first one. There are amazing exhibitors that are outside showcasing their products. Self-love says, I'm going to go to those amazing business owners and I'm going to open up my phone, I'm going to take a picture of their product and I'm going to share their work. Why? Because they've got amazing product and it doesn't cost you anything. Why is it self-love? Because we have understood that the things don't give us the worth, but we give the things the worth. So part of that means that we will not take those stories and encapsulate them in a corner. We'll make sure that we democratize access to these individuals so that they are able to access them. One of the presenters here was talking about digitization. That's digitization. The problem is that we have made everything too complex, and we come up with complex theories. And then when you come up with complex theories, you make the journey to success more difficult. So when we talk about utilizing technology as an enabler, is when we were in Orange Farm and we're working with Sipho, and Sipho has a donkey and a cart, and all he does is to deliver amalahle. He collects the rubble. The biggest problem with Sipho is that in Orange Farm, the street names are not clear. So the street name that you were sent might not lead you to that particular client. So he did a simple thing: utilize WhatsApp pins. So the second biggest ask for me is simply this. When you are looking to solve things, don't complicate them. Simplify solutions and simplify how you show up. So in this over-intellectualized world, you might seem that you are dumbing yourself down. No, you're actually making up room so that you are able to access more and better opportunities that are out there. And the last thing really for me is simply this. In whatsoever space that you are in, show up. Show up like no one's business. Because you need to understand a couple of things. Uniqueness has an expiry date. Uniqueness is a good as a start, but it has an expiry date, because if someone else goes into the same industry as you, the same boardroom as you, they emulate a story similar to yours, but they make the loudest noise, they will take over that particular space. Now you will do the hard work of trying to make a louder voice of yourself, but whereas you had owned the space. You do no one a favor when you know you've got the capacity to deliver greatness and you don't deliver that greatness. As long as you've got the capacity to deliver greatness every single time. Why? Because you're only as great as the last thing you showed up and you did and you delivered on. The last, no one owes you anything. Now, I'd be totally amiss if I left here. I know I rushed through that workshop. If I left here without asking everyone to do this, please just stand on your feet. Let's just do this one thing. It feels... I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I need us to do this one thing. But you see, and I keep hearing, but all these amazing, beautiful people who are in front are actually the most youngest and most energetic. Let's give them a big round of applause. I need you guys to say this. I need you guys to say this after me, because some of the information that you got here might not have been unique. You might have read it or heard it. Some of the people that you've met with here today are people that you've kept saying, let's do coffee, and you didn't. Which then says that the real catalyst is actually getting things done. So I need everyone in the room to say this after me. Get things done! Get things done! Nah, man, you guys are playing with me. I don't think the president can hear you. I don't even think the media team at the back can hear you. We're going to do this 2 times. The second time, get things done! Get things done! Nah, man, I don't know. So can you hear them? I don't think, no, the president's saying he can't hear you. I'm not making this up. One more time. Get things done! Get things done! Get things done! Get things done! And the only reason why we do that is so that you can hear yourself making a promise to you that you are going to do things for yourself. Thank you so much.